My name is Oliver Rao. I'd consider myself an individualistic person, but I know everything I do is for the greater good of the community or the society. So I guess it's good to strike a balance. Even as a loner, I know I try to be decent so that the world just doesn't fall into what you call anarchy all the time.
Hi, my name is George Gathiani, head columnist at the Wondrous Path magazine. Proud man, he, him. Here to shield you from the pain by contributing a little bit of love to the whole world. Thank you.
Amen. Yes, Franz?
My name is Franz Owano, his boss, founder, Wondrous Path Publishers. I'm a big believer in community, but at the same time, I believe it should not erode individualism. And I also believe that masculinity needs to be redefined. It is high time.
My name is Stephen Mathenge, probably the only person who isn't an author here. But I believe in individualism. I believe we should be hyper-competitive because that brings out the best in us, and the best in us benefits society in the end.
This is the episode on individuality versus community. I will go ahead and present prompts that then we will either agree or disagree to, and then we'll discuss a prompt at a time before resetting for the next one. The first prompt here is, no one owes you anything. If you agree, flip your tag. No one owes you anything. If you agree, flip your tag. I'll start with Steve, since you agree.
I mean, in reality, perhaps there are a few people who owe me something, but I just like to adopt the mental model that no one owes me anything. Everything that happens to me is my fault. If I step outside and I get rained on, I should have checked like the weather app or something. Not that it's entirely practical. It just helps me to, have a high expectation and standard for myself, and so that I perform at my best, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a personal.
Yeah, just as a personal thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, maybe?
If I could be 50-50.
You can. There's free will.
That's free will, yeah? I would say we are owed a lot because we were left an inheritance by the previous generation, an inheritance that we are supposed to be custodians of to give to the next generation. But as that mental model goes, you should be ready for life to be unfair, even if your parents tried to make it more fair for you. But you should just be ready.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Maybe.
they owe you,
Yeah.
but don't expect it. Just know you are robbed
Yeah.
and move on
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
I guess Franz and I disagree. I disagree majorly because I believe parents owe children a lot. And I will not negotiate on that point. If you're going to have children, make sure you can afford them a quality of life that is decent.
Yeah.
So for that reason is why I disagree. We owe. There are some people who owe some people. Yes.
Okay. I'd say perhaps before you go, a pushback on that is, there are people living in the ghetto or in some other destitute situation, but they are quite pleased with it, and they imagine, if I like this, maybe my kids will like this. And then we have an olive born with such high standards and expectations of life.
Yeah.
And then they just think, why did you give birth to me if you live in the ghetto? You know? So what would you say to that?
Can I counter that?
Yeah.
But you see, everything is comparative. And what I mean by that, if I was a homeless person and then I find a way to live in a shelter under a roof, it might not be the Ritz, or the Hilton, but it's an improvement of my previous situation. True?
Which was
I was living on a sidewalk.
Okay.
Privy to all the elements of the weather. So if I conscious, as we go back to George Gathiani's Mystery Monkeys, I conscious the fact that the streets is not a hospitable place to have a child and raise a family, and I do whatever I need to do to move into a slum dwelling that is at least a shelter, and I decide this is more conducive to have children as compared to that. Haven't I given them better than I had? Haven't I given them a prop in a way?
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you then.
For Olive, please.
And let me just...
Oh, sure. First go,
piggyback
yeah.
on that. And also, I believe we must have a standard for what for what is bare minimum.
Yeah, like a universal
Yes,
standard.
let's have a universal standard for what's bare minimum. You will not have a child and not able to feed it and say, me, I was okay with growing up without food.
Mtoto atazaliwa na
That,
sahani yake.
that one we refuse. Which of Sauti Sol has kids?
Good point.
Hey,
You've prepared for that question.
Okay, just say something. Just say something.
Kutoka kitambo.
Just say something.
They're too bright. It's too much. I can't.
Say something.
No, I'll come back to
I
you.
mean,
You wanted to
okay.
say something. Oh, it was you who was
so
asking.
then
changed my
here's the
life.
question. Okay, so like to both of you. So I'd say like you're intelligent, you're good human beings, but also that's been enabled by perhaps a bit of fortune in where you were born. Maybe you weren't born in the State House, but you had something going for you. So let's assume your parents were, street people, and you were born with the same qualities you have now. Now maybe you won't achieve the potential that fulfill the potential that you've done now, but you'd still be some version of Franz, some version of Olive. But then there's this, like, let's say God appears to you before you are born.
Hearing voices now.
Yeah. And is like,
Psychiatric checkup.
here's the life. Here's the life you're going to have. You're still going to be Franz and Olive, but it's going to be a bit difficult because you're born to street children. Would you then choose not to be born?
Yes,
Thank you for bringing that up.
I would.
Can I
but
take
go
this
ahead.
question?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, we have to really delink the fact of owing people of owing people things to it being limited to material things. And as George always says it, we are hyper-capitalistic society. We only see things in terms of money, right? But the other things that we can owe someone in terms of the moral fiber, our moral fiber. True?
Yeah.
If you have traits and habits that are impairing your social relationships, don't you owe it to the people you love to try and change? Yes. So owing someone things is not necessarily material, right?
Yeah.
You might have to remodel your character, pick up new traits, or discard harmful ones. You'd agree?
Yeah.
Now, this is a discussion I had with I had with some nursing students when I was in the hospital, and we were discussing some of our patients, and a general discussion came up, right? A general discussion came up, and the argument was two-pronged. There's a group that believed that some people with certain illnesses, right, if should be given an opportunity, yes, not to continue existing, right? While others clung on to the idea that life is a gift and we have to bear it out to the end,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And who decides the value of a human being, right? And it is a very dangerous line because that is how we delve into eugenics and eugenicist policies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hitler woke up one day and said that we are this master race, the Aryans, who are blonde and blue-eyed, and we are meant to reign over all society. And everyone else who does not have a complexion or skin tone is inferior, right?
Yeah.
And so he started purging certain elements, the Jews, the Gypsies, right? Now, depending on what that society considers to be ideal, what if people wake up one day and decide that all bald men are inferior and we start purging them? Okay. The next thing we say, all people who can't walk are inferior. We need to purge them. The next thing we move to, all people who are blind are inferior and we need to purge them, right? We'll keep changing that goalpost to the extent where we'll purge the whole of society, right?
Yeah.
So who decides the value of a human life? And it's a very dangerous line to cross.
Yeah.
So for me, right, whether you're born on the streets or you live in the Ritz or State House, you're a human being and you have inherent value.
Yeah.
And we should maintain a society where that is not even a question.
Yeah. So I think that just makes the case that even if you're in a bad situation,
Yes.
you should still have kids.
Now,
Because you're preemptively deciding for this unborn child that you're going to be born in a bad situation, and so you're not deserving of life.
so how do I put it? For me, I'll give another example, right? the decision should be made before the child is born. Because
Okay.
the moment that child is born,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In a way, you implicate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, let us say that I have a genetic
Defect.
a genetic defect that is highly heritable, right? And no matter what I do, there is over a 70% chance that my children will inherit it.
Yeah.
And I have suffered under this defect, right? So I know what this child is going to be born into, the tribulations they are going to face. I can go back to George's book. I can conscious and decide, you know what? Let me spare any progeny from this pain.
Yeah.
I will not have children.
Yeah.
Well and good. But the moment a child is already, or a child is in your belly, or the child has already been born, now we have to give that child a fighting chance
Yeah.
to decide what their life is going to be
Yeah.
and what they're going to make of it.
Yeah.
It is unfair of you to decide for that child. No.
Okay.
Make those decisions before you get that baby.
So then here's the thing. You talked about like this ever-changing goalpost of what we define as perhaps a defect is. And so if you're fairly certain you have a particular defect and you don't want to have a child because of that, I mean, it almost seems like there's a solution to most of these things. There are things you can do. I'm trying to imagine of conditions where there's 100% guarantee you'll pass on, that I am not a doctor, but it seems like there are always workarounds. And then also, let's say like the genetic defect is a definite no. Like we can agree on that. Then someone else says, mine is not a defective, is not a genetic defect issue. It's just poverty. And it's almost like, some people are willing to tolerate poverty so long as they are alive. So what metric do you use to
Capitalist.
I mean, I'd rather be poor and alive than be dead. And so, yeah.
Just say something. Just say something.
I mean, it's not like I'm a billionaire now, but that's the thing. Like,
Poverty is the world's leading
where then do
disability.
yeah?
Poverty is the world's leading disability.
Is that what?
Leading disability.
So let me ask.
I mean, there's so many poor people
So-
who are living.
I said world's leading, did I?
So George,
Poverty is depression. Those
So
are the
George.
two, yeah.
And I go back to my initial question. Won't this goalpost keep changing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, what if, like, for example, let's take communist Russia,
Yeah.
USSR,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The state above everything, right? Complete equality among, or rather, the concept of complete equality, yes? And standardization
Yeah.
of human nature,
Yeah.
standardization of your exposure to state resources, right?
Yeah.
The belief that anything above or anything that could challenge the supremacy of
The
the
state.
state is wrong,
Yeah.
including personal faith and religion.
Yeah.
Because the USSR were largely against Christianity and they persecuted a lot of Christians.
Yikes.
Right? So
Ouch.
when we say defect, I believe it's a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
There was a time when the color of our skin was a defect in
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
according to some people.
Yeah.
Of course, it's nonsense, but they found ways to justify it,
Yeah.
right? Now, if the color of our skin won't be an issue, they look for physical infirmities.
Yeah.
I don't have an eye, I don't have all my teeth,
Yeah.
I have one leg. If they can't pin me on that now, they pin me on my IQ.
Yeah.
But an IQ test that they set
Yeah.
just to exclude me.
Yeah.
If they can't pin me on that, they pin me on the fact that I'm not married, maybe, right? If they can't pin me on that, they pin it on the fact that I'm infertile.
Yeah.
If they can't get me on that, they go to my faith and my religion.
Yeah.
And it is a very dangerous thing,
Yeah.
especially when it is exploited by governments for their own needs. Society tends to be divided into dichotomies of us versus them, especially when it is useful in the political class. True?
Yeah.
And if we endorse this idea that people with deformities or people who we think are less than normal do not deserve to live, it's a dangerous road we are treading.
Yeah.
Very
I
dangerous.
think you're just making my point because if all of this is subjective,
It is subjective.
then perhaps if you struggled with something and you didn't cope with it well, it doesn't mean your child won't, cope with it better.
Possible.
So I think we should just give them the fighting chance at least for them to be born with whatever thing you think is problematic and let them attempt to solve it.
But like you said, there are workarounds, yeah? If you have a genetic heritability, like for example, let's say let's use something that's close to my, let's say schizophrenia. If you have a high genetic load and a family history of schizo, and I meet let's say me, and I meet a lady who does, right? The chances of our child getting it is much higher.
Yeah.
Now, if I meet a lady who has a lower genetic load, right, but it is still there, the chances are lower. Now, if I meet a lady with no family history of schizophrenia, the chances are reduced. So, by the fact that there's a possibility that this child might get it, it is not written in stone that they have to get it.
Yeah.
So there is a fighting chance.
Yeah.
However, the subjective choice to decide whether you as a parent are willing to deal with the mental toll of the possibility of that child having it, that is a subjective thing, and no one should decide it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you fear, your worst fear is your child replaying your life, and it has been a very difficult life. Let's say you are hemophilic, for example, or you have sickle cell anemia, right? And you feel, or rather, you would not want your child to go through the pain you have gone through, right? There's a chance they won't get it. Well and good.
Yeah.
And if you want to take that chance, that's your right. Well and good. But in the event that
They do.
that you don't, surely, can we really judge you? But
No.
the moment the child is born, or the child is in the process of gestation,
Yeah.
now the decision isn't only about you now.
Yeah.
You have to consider that child.
Yeah.
Give that child a fighting chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's basically, so the child is owed
Or that child a
decent
chance.
life. You're owed food. You're owed, if you are going to
Yeah.
be born with sickle cell,
Yeah.
I, as your parent, owe you medical treatment, attention, all those things.
Yeah.
So we have to consider it.
Yeah.
Steve might say they are privileged, not owed. They are given the privilege of.
Yeah.
What privilege, and you brought me here without permission. I beg.
Please get over yourself.
Privilege in a way. I could have decided to
Get over yourself.
You'd have decided to?
I'm not using that word. I'm a child of God.
Is it to abort or to kill me?
I'm a child of God. I'm not using that word.
Yeah.
Taken
keep
out.
that-
Unlike Steve, I'd rather be dead than
Keep that.
suffering.
Keep that baby. if you
Yeah.
can.
I mean, I think I'd rather be alive at any cost. At almost any cost. I'm sure there are certain limits to this, but
Okay, there are limits. Yeah?
yeah.
Can I give you some scenarios? But we're recording. So nope.
You guys are going by road, safe travel. Our second prompt, if you agree, you can flip your tag. African cultures are socialist and borrowed individualism from the West. African cultures are socialist and borrowed individualism from the West. If you agree, flip your tag.
I need a second.
I'll start with you, Franz. You already agree?
Okay. So where were we? Yeah. I want you. I think all of us above 30 here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm the oldest person here. Yeah. Yeah.
Rest.
My youth is behind me. And it is my responsibility to instruct you young people. So, yeah. I don't think any of you have turned 35. I turned 35 this year. So
Congratulations.
clap for me, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really
I
good.
used my youth well.
Grandpa.
Statistically,
I
you've
use my-
avoided divorce.
Pardon?
Statistically,
I've
you've
avoided my
avoided
first
your
You
first
did your first
divorce.
divorce already.
Yeah. You're winning. You're winning.
You're winning.
I'm a child of God, I repeat.
First
Yeah?
divorce, the first bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Many things you've
Oh,
avoided.
by 35, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Where were
Yes.
we? Thank you for that,
Socialist
that
Africans are
backhanded
socialists.
compliment. Yeah? Very backhanded compliment.
How is that backhanded?
But anyway, yeah?
Stacking
As I
your
was saying,
paper.
yeah?
Yeah.
I grew up in Kisumu before I moved to Nairobi. And if I'm to let's not even go to the days when we're wearing sheepskin, right? Very simple. Kisumu between 1990 and 1999 before we moved, right? I knew all my neighbors. All my neighbors knew me. I ate supper in all their houses, right? When I did something wrong, their parents scolded me, yeah, and told me, no, that's not right. Same thing for them if they messed up within the proximity of my parents, right? Just the idea of it being supper time and I'm still at the neighbor's house, right? And they're offering their children food. It's a natural instinct to also do it for me. True?
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
And that is as early as 1996, right?
Yeah.
Now, we come to Nairobi in 2001. I never see my neighbors. The children are never outside playing. Everyone is indoors with their PSs, right? So it gets to a point where the sense of community is shrinking, and it's shrinking, and it's shrinking, right? You see your neighbor's child doing something wrong, right? Or even endangering themselves. But because you're afraid of liability, you have a hands-off attitude, right? And that is where society is going. African cultures by themselves was about making sure, or rather, I'm looking for the word, was about ascribing the continuity of the tribe onto that child, right? So I'm doing it because you are part of the community's future. Therefore, I'm invested in your well-being, right? Modern culture, no one is invested in anything apart from their own.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
True.
Would you say that's a good thing?
We'll get to it.
Would we say it's would you call it borrowed from
Would
the
I?
West? Would you call individualism borrowed from the West?
Now, we've come to a point where we've normalized selfishness in the name of being prudent. That's just what we've done.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
Before Mzungu came here, right? As lazy as you are, it is very unlikely you'd go hungry.
Yeah.
As lazy as you are, right? There were systems to take care of the most disadvantaged in society.
Yeah.
We bash polygamy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a proponent, because I lack the funds, among other things. I'm not a proponent, for many reasons now. However, polygamy, at its core, eliminating the fact that women were at economic disadvantage, especially in my culture, but removing the fact of ills such as wife battering, right? Removing the fact that women were not allowed to inherit land and they had to assert themselves using their sons. Remove all those ills there. But if you take polygamy at its core, it was to enable a woman to have access to these resources that she was disinclined to have because of her gender.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
The ways in which we structured society are not only Luo culture, most of every culture, to protect widows. True? Your husband has passed on, you have no claim to any property, and you don't have sons. How do you make sure you don't go destitute? To take care of orphans, right? Those communal fail-safes, we don't have it in modernity. Mzungu came and we decided it's just me now, and it's all about me, and I don't care whether you starve.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. Well, I agree alongside you because of the same experience. And I attribute it to us borrowing individualism from the West because I only experienced it in Nairobi. While growing up in Eldoret, this is as recent as 2016. My mom and I lived a little far away from town and I worked in Eldoret town. And all I had to do is prepare and then walk to the road. And any car coming will take me to town, whether it's a milk pickup, whoever. I just stand by the road and we'll go picking whoever until we all get to town. And when I come to Nairobi, I see a lot. I don't even know my neighbor right now. So, and I know Nairobi adopts a lot of its culture from the West. And that's why, I do agree. Disagree, I guess.
First of all, that actually put something into context for me. When I was a kid, like really small, my dad had like this Peugeot, I think it's a 505, like this station wagon. And we used to live somewhere in Nyeri. And so when he goes to the nearby town, he used to always go picking everyone along the road. And now I understand why that was the case. Interesting. I never thought of it that way. But the reason why I disagreed is because I think this individualism was coming anyway. And the reason why I think it was coming is it almost seems like every society that's a bit individualistic is somehow more advanced than those that are more social. And so in this hyper-competitive world, even before it was so globalized and concentrated like this, we in the Sahara, Africans, life was paradise. No need to think outside the box because we know where we are going to get our food. You just go hunt. The weather is nice. We barely have to think about clothes. I mean, it was a paradise that was going to come to an end. And the Western man who was more individualistic in their quest to outcompete his fellow white man, they have to invest in conquest. And so Africa was ripe for the taking. And so I think it's a bit harsh. It's not a very nice system, but it keeps us competitive. And so I think understanding the nature of this reality, even without the white man, we would have gotten to that individualism, I think.
Or you think we'd have been
Yeah,
individualistic
because I think
even without the
what
white
will have
man's-
happened somewhere along our history, some resource would have become limited, you know,
And we'd have
and
had to
then
compete.
a light bulb moment, and then we decide, hey, you know, I have to look out for my own and my closest people.
So what you're saying is literally scarcity destroys individuality. That's what you're saying. Scarcity.
Scarcity promotes.
Scarcity it promotes individuality.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
and it destroys the communal spirit. Scarcity.
I mean, it might start with scarcity, but even when we get plenty, we are already on that path of individualism and competition.
But the question is, Steve, how much is enough, right?
Yeah,
There's a I think a short story by Leo Tolstoy where he asks, how much is enough land for one man, right?
Yeah, I know
And
I'll get
how
you.
do we draw the line between necessity and greed?
Yeah.
Right. Surely there are people who are living on the streets,
Yeah.
and you own half a province.
Yeah.
Come on, my guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
that is not looking out for your own.
Yeah.
That is simple plain greed.
Now we are going, I think we're going into now defining individualism and so like
Yeah.
being socialist.
yeah.
I haven't heard from
George,
about, do you think we borrowed individualism from the West and we were majorly socialist?
I disagreed because I think those terms were meaningless before. Yeah, I think because
Unakwaga deep.
they were. Steve and I often talk about this, and he says we live in an economy. One of the most profound things I've heard recently.
Yeah.
And I read Franz's books, so we're going somewhere. But we used to live in a society, now we live in an economy. And so previously, the terms like socialism and individuality, all of those things were the very idea that our entire lives should be about the accumulation of wealth. Perhaps was not.
Yeah.
It had not fully sunk in. And so individualism is just about it's just about money. Like the most efficient way to make money is to hoard it
Yeah.
Yes.
for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So before that, I don't think we were socialist.
I don't think,
Yeah, we
or
were.
it didn't, there
we
wasn't
didn't,
a
yeah.
comparative.
There was no
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
doing
Term for it.
other things.
Yeah.
We had
No term for it.
there's no term for that kind of incentive structure, and I think wealth is a drug. So really, what the white man brought to us is addiction. That's what I really think, and I think addiction comes about when you are separated from the community. And across a board, if you look at any individual who has gone
Actually,
out,
that's true.
that's what really happens.
Yeah.
So now we are addicted to not only wealth, but everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did not, they didn't bring,
it didn't-
you could have been an individual in that world, no problem still, but it was not tied to wealth. You could be free thinking, you could have your own ideas, right? But because it's not about the accumulation of personal wealth, it's just, there's no frame of reference for the kind of rupture that happened with that war. And also I'd like to reiterate that the colonial mission was not just one thing. They would come, get pushed back. They would come, get pushed back. Progressively. Then every time they'd come, they'd learn. And they'd learn a new
They
skill.
make new allies.
Make new allies.
Divide and conquer,
divide and
set you
conquer.
against
do all-
each other.
So it was over 300, 400 years
Of practice.
of
Yeah.
practice
And collecting notes.
and
And
exactly
knowing what works. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
So-
foreign land. Then they built a machine gun, and then they came back, and then they
So you
forced
decide
us
who
all.
to give which gun,
Yeah.
which tribe to deprive it of, and then you make them
You
your
make-
allies.
exactly, and you kill the culture. So
Yeah.
they came and they killed our culture, and they introduced a virus or addiction. Essentially, is what a dopamine fix for it, and now here we are,
Yeah.
just running dopamine hamsters on a dopamine wheel.
Yeah.
Can I ask something, Steve? But now, as much as I'm extolling the communal culture of our forefathers, it also stifled individuality in very many ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now that you've said that, let me introduce the third prompt because I see it's very much related. If you agree to, individualistic societies progress faster, because it's something you mentioned.
Yeah.
Individualistic societies progress faster. Do you agree with that?
I'm in between.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
Continue.
in
You were
between.
saying.
I'm for it and against it, yeah. But to go back to my other point, yeah, I've always had this running argument, and I've said this in another podcast, right? And it's a quote from Gordon Gekko, the Wolf of Wall Street, and he says greed is good, right? Greed is good, and the reason I'm saying and let's not take that statement at face value, and consider a deeper context to it, yeah. The subtext of what I'm saying. I believe, and I firmly believe, that the men who have changed society and the women who have changed society did it because they were fighting some personal insecurities or had a need to acquire wealth or do something great.
Yeah.
And what prompted them to be great was a personal inadequacy. And once they transcended themselves, everyone else benefited from it. Right? Henry Ford once said, if I was to ask people what they want, they'd have asked for a faster horse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why are you tinkering with these machines and cars that we'll never use? Just get us faster horses.
Yeah.
But the moment that the motor car was created, it revolutionized transport. True?
Yeah.
The steam engine.
Yeah.
However, let us consider deeply what really motivated these entrepreneurs. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think they did it for the betterment of mankind or to make profit?
To make profit.
How did they get investors to put in their own capital for these projects that were out of this world?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something that's shaped like a box that has an engine and we use fuel and it moves around.
Yeah.
In the 1900s,
Get out of here.
1890, or 1820, right?
Yeah.
Now, think about it. Horses have this disadvantage. They get tired, they're flesh and bone, they bleed, and they wear and tear.
Yeah.
This thing can just move.
And they
Maintenance
shit a
twice a
lot.
month, and we're on.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the potential? We can create, or rather, we can sell them, right? And extrapolate it to faster modes of transport. Economy, like you said.
Yeah.
This individual was thinking about how he could enrich himself. But in the process of enriching himself, he changed the world for the better.
Yeah.
But deep down, no one will ever admit he did it for himself.
True.
Right?
True.
Now,
True.
I've written 20 books, right?
Yeah.
And initially it was all about fulfilling my own self-actualization.
Yeah.
But in the process of doing it, I started the Wanderers Path Publishers.
Yeah.
And you're benefiting from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
True?
True. Very true.
You're benefiting from it.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's be very honest. When I was writing my first book at the age of 20, I didn't even know George Gathiani.
Yeah. You
I was in
didn't
my
have us
hostel
in
first
mind.
year medical school dying
Yeah.
from those terrible exams. Do you think you're on my radar?
No.
I was like, let me write these books to inspire. No, I wrote these books to prevent going, or rather, I wrote these books for myself.
Yeah.
It was an outlet from the stress of medical
So
school.
don't go mad.
I had to find an outlet not to go crazy in medical school. It wasn't about you. It was about me.
Yes.
But in the process of self-actualizing, I created a tool that I could empower the rest of you.
Yeah.
So, like I said, in a way,
Yeah.
individualism helps the world move forward.
Yeah.
Because we tap into people's primal need for self, what's it called again? Look for the word.
Self-actualization.
For self-actualization and also for their own personal benefit.
Self-servicing.
Glory.
Charity starts at home. There is no way you'll think about helping the world when you're starving.
Yeah.
True?
Well,
May I hear the agree?
It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
yeah, it's foolish to even do it, I would say, as somebody who's tried.
You have tried. Tell us more.
It's foolish once more. Don't do it. I mean, I can go quickly on that agree as why I think individuality goes for two reasons. One, for starters, marginally. That's the problem because of the great cost that individuality also has on our societies.
That too.
Yeah.
That's why I
That's
was
the
in
other
between.
50, yeah.
Because at the same time, we're driving everyone to only think, or rather, we're driving anyone to only think about personal benefit and self-aggrandizement. We get to a point where there's going to be an imbalance in society. And I could also argue, and I'll play the devil's advocate. In every society, we are hierarchical.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
There's always the 5% who control everything, and then some of us in the middle,
Yeah.
and most of us at the bottom.
Yeah.
No matter what you do,
Yeah.
that hierarchy will always be there.
Please
Or-
tell it to George again.
Or
Bane
you
of
need
my
to read Visions of
existence.
Chrysalis,
Yeah.
which you have read.
Yeah.
In Visions of Chrysalis, it's a futuristic science fiction book set in Kenya,
Yes.
where we try to create equality between all men. And there are two groups. There is the 1% who control society via the machines they control. They're called the plutocrats.
Yeah.
And the 1%, the precariats, raia, Wanjiko, like the rest of us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the question is, how is it that 1% can control everything? And it gets to a point where AI proliferates to the extent where we don't have jobs.
Yeah.
Overnight, we don't have jobs.
Yeah.
So society is in pandemonium,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The question is,
Yeah.
is it really fair for the 1% to control everything while the rest of us are starving? But at the same time, what effort did the 1% put generationally to be able to have that wealth? Can we just throw blanket condemnation and say all rich people are evil?
No.
Or did they actually harness their wealth, their opportunities, and their intellect to get there? And is it also unfair to force them to redistribute that wealth to people who didn't contribute to it?
I don't think it's unfair.
You don't think it's unfair?
I think it's unfair.
Let
And,
me-
and
I
I know
don't
where
think
I'm
it's
getting.
unfair.
Because he agrees. Yeah.
It's a hazard to let them keep it. It's too. It's the public. It's a public health hazard for any individual to be left to have that much power,
But not
because
yeah,
they are. Power does not make you less human.
Yeah.
It only makes you. It takes away the barriers keeping your humanity in check.
Well, okay.
But
Sure.
the problem is this, right? You're not this rich or this wealthy 1% in my novel are not allowed the opportunity, right? They were forced to relinquish the power after civil strife, called the conquest of bread. If I am wealthy out of my merits, right? Or I inherited wealth and I've doubled it to secure my future generation,
Yeah.
and I decide to give to charity, right?
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to determine how much I'm going to give? Or what gives you the right to impose on me how much of my net worth I should distribute?
Because you impose on society how that wealth is generated. You stifle competition, you game the system, you evade taxes, you buy politicians. You see, you already are acting as a corrupt agent. And so if people behave corruptly towards you, you cry wolf, or you cry fairness. But where was the fairness when you are accumulating your wealth through evil means?
So my question is, so how do you come to an equitable agreement on how much I should redistribute without you being punitive also? Because the argument of Chrysalis was, we use an AI system to create equality among all men. However, the problem is when this system that we've created will actually turn the beneficiaries of Chrysalis into the same people that they despised. And that is the fear. The oppressor will become the oppressed eventually.
I mean, what I understand about humanity is that we have an ability to choose. We are getting information every day that we need to update our software, so to speak. So there comes a time when we have to decide there are certain irreducible minimums for what it means to be a human being. And if those irreducible minimums are met, you are allowed to play the game as you please. But you cannot go below that, because then humans are delusional.
But then again, George, how do we impose on the 1% who control all resources in society without revolution? And the problem also in the revolution is, right, like there's a quote in Visions of Chrysalis: if you cannot all be rich, let us all be poor, right? Zero-sum game. Now, we're going to burn society to the ground, all the structures that we've built, all the institutional memory, to start all over in a kingdom of ashes just because you want equality.
Stalin's Russia, Mao, Pol Pot's Cambodia. There are many examples of where they decided that they'd rather everyone be illiterate than have some people be smarter than others.
So we go back to
I feel like we've drifted so far away from the prom. Yet I hadn't heard what Steve had to say. Why he agrees.
I mean, and at this point, I have so many comebacks for what they were talking about. I actually forgot the prompt.
I actually didn't even respond to the prompt myself either.
It was individualistic societies progress faster.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And case number one is historically, that's just a fact. We Africans were more social. If this, like socialism, was a better way to advance, then why were we conquered by these individualistic societies? So already in the real world, that has manifested. And then secondly, the case for individualism is that if you incentivize people to perform as much as they can, so that they bring forth their best qualities that can be used to benefit society. At large. I think that's a very good system. The only problem with that system is that it disenfranchises a lot of people
at the bottom.
At the bottom. But think of it this way: if you got into a serious accident and you wanted someone, and you had to have someone perform brain surgery on you, would you want the best surgeon who passed all their exams, went to the best schools, have put in a lot of hours, and so they know their way around the brain and are likely to save you? Or do you want the person who was a total failure, but because we have to be equal, we also give them an opportunity to be a surgeon? We want the best of the best. And for you to get the best of the best, and for you to be the best of the best, you have to sacrifice so much and put in a lot of effort that you need so much compensation for that journey to be worthwhile. And the modern Henry Ford, as he said, I'd say is someone like Elon Musk. So he's unbelievably rich, on his way to be a trillionaire.
15 children?
Yeah. And he's on his way to be a trillionaire. But think of it this way. If a meteorite was on its way to, on a collision course with Earth, and perhaps the only possible solution was to shoot it down with some rocket in space, he is our best chance. And so we need to support him as much as we can, because clearly he's smarter and more productive than the rest of us. And whatever he does seems to benefit society. So we need to incentivize him as much as possible, because here I am waking up whenever I want and putting in the minimum effort, and I want to be a trillionaire. It just doesn't seem quite fair. So for those of us who are willing to sacrifice and be productive and give so much back to society, society equally has to give so
Something
much back to us. So that's my case for individualism.
But it brings a very important aspect to this, yeah? Individualism, or rather a society progressing because of individualized incentive that in the grand scheme, the rest of society will benefit from.
Yeah.
And then there's a communal system where I'm looking for the word, where the incentive is not promoted. And therefore the ambition to be more, to want more, to create more is not there.
Yeah.
But you've brought up a very important thing, the aspect of meritocracy.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think the concept of meritocracy is an elite idea or notion?
No, I don't.
Do they? So, and the reason why I'm saying this is, let's consider the people who are at the top of the pyramid, right? And the people who necessarily did, the people who are second generation maybe. Elon Musk is brilliant, and I will never take that away from him. I can't. However, his foundation was not of poverty.
Yeah.
His father owned diamond or gold mines in South Africa.
Yeah.
He was dropped in school in a Rolls Royce, right? I cannot take away from Elon Musk, no doubt. However, he had a foundation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He had a foundation. Now, in that pyramid of society, the top 1% control most of everything and have all the resources.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, do they provide a better foundation for their children to become the next top 1%?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I may be more talented than you, but because you don't have a foundation, I will get your spot.
Yeah.
So, is meritocracy a myth to some extent?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a myth.
And I also feel like with every point that you've given, you're measuring it against a capitalist standard. I feel like even as socialists, as Africans, we still had structure. Even in that, knowing that we move as a society, we all do something for the service of the community, there was still structure. There was still someone who was a medicine man. And a sweeper wouldn't offer medicine to people. So there were structures even in the socialist system. But I see a lot of things we are measuring is by the standard of capitalism, where it all boils down to money and resources.
So I did not live in that era, the medicine man. Though my grandma was quite adept at
Oh, you've never been treated with...
Oh, your great-grandfather.
No. I did not live in the era.
Oh, I see.
George wrote a memoir on me and my dad. So he uncovered some family secrets. We are still Christians. Yeah? Okay, I'm a child of God.
It isn't so far back, because even as recently, I've got treated with mitishamba back in Shags.
And it worked?
Yeah, they know, and they know what leaf treats what. So I feel like the knowledge is passed down. Of course, now it's suppressed because of modern medicine and everything that we have. But sort of like the knowledge is even passed down in particular families, especially in rural, I say Kenya.
But if we take an individual society, right, and we take a communal society, now in an individualistic society, your chances of rising up the ranks of meritocracy is based on opportunity. That's true.
That's true.
If you don't have the opportunity, as brilliant, as much potential as you have,
Yeah.
you won't be able
Doesn't
to
matter.
actualize. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're born in the wrong place, to the wrong family, and you don't have access to the right resources, right? All your potential will go down the drain.
Yeah.
But now the question is, right? Now, were communal structures more harnessing of merit?
Let me reset for the fourth prompt, because I think that's exactly this. Building the collective responsibility keeps people accountable.
No, I disagree.
Collective
responsibility keeps people accountable. Yes, I agree. Okay, go on with your point now that
Yes, as I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So the difference between you self-actualizing and achieving your wildest dream is set down to a quirk of fate. The parents you're born into, their socioeconomic status, right? Their political or ideological leanings. True. Because what if you're born into a family where they're in a cult that don't believe in higher education, don't even believe in modern medicine? It limits you, right?
Yes.
So, and we've established that your opportunities are dependent on your upbringing and where you're from, your background, and
Yes.
in a capitalistic setting, right?
Yeah.
So, in a way, merit has to meet opportunity for you to thrive in a capitalistic society. True.
Yes.
They have to merge.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
communal societies,
Yeah.
did they have more opportunity for merit, or were they also discriminating in a way? For example, where we again, and we come back to gender roles, right? There were things men were not supposed to do.
Yeah.
There were things women were not supposed to do, right? Were there gender or sex barriers to certain professions?
Yeah.
Even though you would be naturally good at it.
Yeah.
I reiterate what George said once. If I'm good at digging a hole,
Yeah.
why not let me dig the hole and you'll plant flowers?
Yeah.
Right? Are we saying, or rather, how do we merge opportunity and meritocracy in communal setups? And we can use the African communal setup, for example. How do we merge them?
Well, there's no such thing as an individual society. It's a paradox. It's either you're an individual or you're in a society. Individual societies, even as they stand, you're given opportunities based on an ROI.
Return on investment.
Yeah, even children, you pick which children you're going to send to which school. Those kind of societies, you pick how you invest in your children. Looking at them, they are assets. They are not part of a community in an individualist world. It is the notion of community and the very fiber of what makes human beings is torn apart. It has to be. Otherwise, the gymnastics you require to be able to think of both as an individual and a community, not possible. So those are two worlds.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate, and this is why I use the term addiction very, very pointedly. We are now addicted. We're a society of addiction. That is the replacement we've had for wholeness and wellness.
Yeah.
So you find what is addictive to you and do that to the degree that it will give you the most personal financial return. So when we're saying like a collective action, what is the prompt? Collective action.
Collective responsibility keeps people accountable.
What did I say? I disagreed.
You disagreed.
I disagreed because, hypothetically, yes, but we are post that. Yeah, we are post humanity. We're living in a post humanity world. The way I see it, we're living in a junkie world or a robot world right now. And so the idea of collective action, maybe we can return with pointed effort. But once more, if you're a junkie, you can't go back, And even if you eventually sober up, there's just you are disjointed from your normal operations. Your synapses have changed, and our synapses have changed. So we are getting to the point where being human is very cliche and a bit cringy. It's outdated and ugly. No one wants to be considered to be human. We would much prefer to pretend to be perfect automatons of some nature. So collective action is gone. That's gone. So it's just once more we need an entirely new language, the way I think of it, for the human experiences. Most of the words, including even the alphabet that we use, is speaking to a world that's dead and might never return. Yeah. So right now the question is, can we agree on some minimums? And if we can't, can we enforce some minimums? And if we can't, just prepare for war.
Okay.
You say something?
I mean, he makes a compelling case, so much so that I even forget what the prompt is. Olive.
Olive, repeat the prompt.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at time. Collective responsibility keeps people accountable.
Collective responsibility. So this means a society pulling together.
Yes.
Collective.
Or rather, if you're doing something for the
Self-correcting.
greater, for the good of the, like the community, so much so, and not yourself only.
Yeah.
Keeps people.
I mean,
accountable.
I may be misunderstanding this, but the first thought that came to mind is whenever there's like a collective pool, there are people who slip through the cracks without doing much and still
Pulling their
reaping,
weight. Not
without pulling their
weight and
weight
benefiting.
and still benefiting from the efforts of others. And so that's why I still err on, it's ugly, but we should live in a hyper-individualistic society. That's the only way we inspire performance from everyone, such that whoever doesn't perform, unfortunately, they stand out in a negative
You
way.
reap what you sow.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you don't sow,
essentially
you
what
don't
I'm
reap.
trying to say. Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe it could be because I'm the only woman in the room. But I feel like a lot of times I hold myself to a higher account when I know whatever I'm supposed to do will affect someone else. And therefore, when it's just me, I tend to be sluggish on that particular thing. So I might find that a lot of things that I do, I know will serve for the security of women, will serve for my nieces and nephews, will serve for the greater good. So in that sense, I'm more accountable to the larger society than just if it were just for me, I think I'd be living I'd be living a very dangerous life.
Sure.
That you'll build on. So, first of all, collectivism, for it to actually work, has to be based on a certain standard of morality.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when you put a pool of people together, you have to expect dissent. True? And varying opinions and views and outlooks, right?
Yeah.
So getting consensus sometimes is not difficult. It's not easy. It can be very difficult to get consensus.
That's true.
And that's why I agree with George to an extent. I agree with both of them. The extent to which I agree with George is because there are too many diverging views and opinions, right? And we cannot all have the same standard of morality. Like, for example, what if someone believes that people of certain sexual orientation aren't entitled to some things? What if someone says people who don't earn within a certain tax bracket are not entitled to some things, right? And we try and force that as a majority on them, right? There'll be some clashes. So how do you get to a bare minimum of something that we can all agree on? So irrespective of your economic status, irrespective of your sexual orientation, you're a human being and are worthy of respect and human dignity. You have the Bill of Rights, right? You have that inherent value as a human being.
Yes.
We start from there, then build up, yeah? True?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I agree with him because if I'm not incentivized, what will make me go above and beyond to achieve? Right? Where are we again? There was something I was going to bring up. Oh my.
As it comes to mind, following up on what you said, when I make the case for individualism, it has to be in a game-like setting where we have rules. For example, I shouldn't kill you just to get an opportunity. There is a rule against that. Just like in sports, where in football you can just grab the ball and go score. You have to play by a certain set of rules. But once that is followed, then be hyper competitive and hyper individualistic. I feel for like in your case, like you said, you set an even higher standard where you're not only limited by the rules of the game, you impose more rules on yourself such that every action you take simply doesn't benefit you, but consciously you do it to benefit other people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me,
because it boils down, it
Yeah.
always comes full
Yeah.
circle. It will come back to benefit you in one
but
or
if
the
you
other.
ask me, it's like you're adding a handicap to an already difficult game, because the assumption, at least for me, is when we play these hyper individualistic games, so long as we follow the rules, whoever set this game up made it such that if you compete and you win, eventually that benefits society. So if here in like a business setting,
But
I'm
it's
told,
also how you compete.
yeah, and that's why there are rules to this game. So let me just finish this up, where if society tells me, Steve, come up with a business solution for a certain problem we have in this economy or in this society, and I go about that in the correct way, recruiting people, paying my taxes and innovating and all of that, then that's fine. But if I have to cheat and kill to do that, then that's wrong. But if I do it correctly, eventually the solution I come up with, and I'm rewarded by it by society, that solution also benefits society. So I feel like then trying to say, apart from playing by the rules, I then now have to ensure that this thing directly benefits this person, and this, it's just an added layer of complexity. If you're able to do that, you're a better person than I am. But I want to play it as simply as I can.
Women are better people than men. Let me go to the fifth prompt, because we are also running out of time. And this is our EQ point as well. Building the country takes a level of self-sacrifice or compromise. Building the country takes a level of self-sacrifice or compromise. Yeah.
Agree.
I'll start with George now that
Like,
you
so-
disagree.
We don't have countries, I mean, once more, like this, I'm going to reiterate this point. We do not have the language for the things that we currently have. We don't have the language for what we're doing. And we don't if you ask me, we don't fully understand what is going on. We are psychopaths in training, right? Any idea of a collective of any kind is false. Do not stop thinking that way. And I say this as someone who's dedicated his entire life up until maybe literally last night, towards being a collectivist myself. So like self-sacrifice is an absurd notion to a psychopath. So yes, but we don't. It's not what we're doing. We're not building a country. There are few places on earth that are building community at all. What we're having is factions, maybe at best, of individual like small teams of psychos. That's really what's happening. And I don't mean like they're killing or stabbing people, but I mean the hyper individualistic, hyper capitalistic, hyper consumerist, win at any cost kind of little teams that are being formed. If you look at Kenya, for instance, what is happening, and you know this because you have something called an election, which is it boggles my mind, because an election is basically half the country not getting its way. That's basically what an election is. That's not building a country. If there was a self-sacrifice, the goals would be to unite us and not to divide us. But so yes, building a country takes some level of self-sacrifice. But if like Polyjuice Potion takes some Humperdinck wallflower, or like a magic wand requires a unicorn tail. It's gibberish. Yeah, so that's what I think.
Okay.
So
Yes. And shortly, please.
I want to go a roundabout. So basically, self-sacrifice. There is a novel I wrote called Magna Singular that literally translates to human society, and it's about a drone in an ant colony feels that it is stifled by the systems, the caste systems, and the procedures, and it questions the privilege of certain strata within the colony, right? And the question is, can we all be queens in an ant colony? I don't
No.
think you can only have one queen or two or three, yeah, in a polygyn colony. Now, is the role of the queen necessary? Absolutely, because she's the heartbeat of the colony. But at the same time, right, in the different castes, because in ant society, there are different castes. There are soldier ants, there are farmer ants, there are engineers, there are the nursemaids that take care of the larva and pupa in the chambers.
Yeah.
So, as much as I understand that we are all knobs in the system, right? Do I have a choice in which caste I want to be? I wake up and I'm told I'm a soldier. What if I wanted to be a scribe, right? And me accepting that role for the greater good of the colony, irrespective of whether it is something I chose, is self-sacrifice for the greater good, right?
Agreed.
Within the colony context, right? However, right, isn't it also unfair to deny me the chance to choose what I want to be? But now the danger comes in. What if all the castes within the colony decide to rethink or rather, all the ants within the colony decide to rethink or re-examine their castes and choose alternatives?
Yeah.
There'll be total disorder. Now, we might assume that the queen has privilege, yeah? But her privilege is also a responsibility, a heavy responsibility. Queens literally lay 800 to 1,000 or 1,500 eggs per day. True? And these eggs, or rather, when they grow up, they replace the ones that are lost. True? So you might say that she has privilege, but your existence is dependent on her also.
Yeah.
What if she wakes up and says, you know what? By the way, I'm tired of giving birth to all these eggs every day. Yeah? I want to choose my own life. I want to be a scribe.
Yeah.
What if the soldier ant say, I want to be a musician ant, right?
Yeah.
So who will man the walls if the soldiers decide to deviate from the case that they were assigned at birth? Who will take care of the larva and pupa, right? If the nursemaids deviate from the calling that they were given?
Yeah.
Who takes care of maintaining the tunnels within the ant colony?
Yeah.
If the engineers say, F it,
Yeah.
I'm done. I want to choose my own path.
Yeah.
So similarly, let us translate this to human society.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Building a country, we can't all get our way. True? But we all have a role to play. True?
Yeah.
If at all we have a country, we have a role to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
at times, the role you play might not be what you want in the moment, but is essential for the greater good.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now, the question is, should you conform to the role that you've been given to play, or should you redefine it for yourself? And even more importantly, what if the role that you think you should play is destructive to the greater good of that country?
So let me cut you short because we are really running out of time. So I want to hear what Steve has to say before we finish.
I mean, I think of countries simply as just teams, like football teams. Like this borderless argument is like saying this week I want to play for Arsenal, next week I want to play for Chelsea. No, just these are the rules of the game. Don't complicate it. If you're assigned Kenya as your country, then you do as much as you can for that country and you build it. And the way this game is structured is if you play to your level best, you will be rewarded in that system. And so don't think too much about these boundaries. It's just a team. Play for your team, and I think that works out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That brings us to the end of, what was this? Individuality versus community. But I also feel we're very tired. Should we still go on with Mashilingi Kichwani?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if there's time,
There's money
For-
involved.
that's a nice segue into games.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
Mashilingi, we'll play 2 rounds of Mashilingi Kichwani. So this is a game where there's categories, and in these categories, there's questions assigned to particular amounts of money. If you get the question correct, then that money is yours and you can redeem it at buyolive.com, which is my emotional intelligence consultancy. So I'll start with George. What category do you want to play for and for how many shillings?
Let's see, learning from my mistakes from before. I'll take general knowledge for 80.
Not Sheng.
Hey.
Man, you're flash,
General
man.
knowledge for 80 shillings. What year did the Titanic sink? A, 1922.
Yeah. I know
B,
this one.
1953. C, 1912. D, 1998.
22.
1922, that is incorrect. It's
What?
1912.
1912. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
it's a two.
Yeah,
and,
they-
I wrote-
yeah.
and it's in
Are you-
my
are you
own
pay-
book.
Are you paying with Bitcoin?
You know, I guessed it right because I thought it's 1921.
Yeah, I
But
was
then
like,
I had
1912.
1912. That I was like, yeah,
I
it's
was like, the
1912.
2-1, there's a new, I remember, yeah. And
Franz?
I recently wrote a book.
What
I'm
category
it's
will
in
you
one-
play for?
Shame on me.
I'm cheaper than John.
Yeah.
Give me general knowledge, 60 bob.
France for general knowledge for 60 shillings. What planet is known as the red planet?
Mars.
That was an
Really?
easy one.
And it's not even
Really?
anything. That's general knowledge for 10 bob. Come on.
Okay.
And Steve?
Just
pay.
pay.
Just
Yeah.
pay.
Yes.
Toboka your 80
Okay.
bob.
Leo nimetoka Islando, so let me go with Sheng at 100.
At 100,
Yeah.
my
Dangerous
friend.
topic.
Go big or go home.
At 100.
Share for 100
You
shillings.
hear things you never
Steve,
know.
what is Mayolo?
This old man, he can't know it.
If you don't know what Mayolo is, my friend,
This old man can't know
There are multiple choices,
Eh?
please.
get deported.
Abroad. B, clubbing. C, high. D, good mood.
Good mood.
Good mood.
Yeah.
That is incorrect. It is
It's abroad.
abroad.
It's in the name. That's why I said deported. I gave you a clue.
This old man, I didn't even get it.
I told you he doesn't know what
Let's close the
Mayolo is.
episode. We're way past
Yeah, I'm
time.
stealing yours.
But yeah, that was our episode.